Welcome everyone, this is Pineleaf Needles, and you're listening to Lotro Players News, where we take a look at the latest news in Lotro, and here at Lotro Players. And this week we have with us Andang,
Hey, everybody.
Terry Adwin,
Hi, hi.
Maven,
Hey, y'all.
and Carvette.
At your service.
But not at your family's.
Not today. Or maybe, I don't know. Is there gold involved? No, just kidding. At your families and your service.
I like how we've kind of like forcibly put "at your families" at the end of Carv's thing. He never wanted that there. He's always been.
I know this is the traditional
He
dwarven
used to.
greeting, but it's like everybody else has this real short, hey, how's it going? What's up? Hail and well met. And I can't just like, all right,
But you
Corvette.
used to put it on at the end.
Well,
That's the
the-
only reason I
Well,
say it.
Pineleaf used to do it. He would
Exactly.
go, "At your
Pineleaf
service."
added it on, and then
Yeah.
Carv started to do it, so Pineleaf wouldn't.
Oh.
And
Yeah.
then now
I-
Carv's reverting back to his old ways. So
Well, it's just
Sorry.
kind of like, if you want me to do the full thing because it's tradition, then I'll do it. At your service. And your families.
That's pretty good. I like that.
Let's
Awesome.
head
Since
into the game
Aerother's not
news.
here today, you can take up more time.
Oh,
Don't tell him that.
Let's head into the game news. And we'll begin with the Summer Executive Producer's Letter. That's right, we have an Executive Producer's Letter. And is there anything interesting in it today?
Well, there's a few things, Pineleaf. Let's go ahead and start off. Because it's released on a Thursday, it was close enough to the show's recording, so we didn't release a special one like we normally do on Mondays. And so Pineleaf gets to actually be here when we do this talk for once.
Ooh.
So, no, I'm just kidding. All right. So the first piece of news in the producer's letter was that there's a new PvP map that is hopefully going to be coming. So, quote, "It is true. We are currently working on a new PvP map, which will take place in a version of Osgiliath. We are designing this space now, and it should be going through its first round of feedback with the Players' Council in the near future. It will also be getting extensive beta feedback on Bulroar when ready and released this summer." So, we're getting a PvP map this summer, apparently. That's exciting.
That'll be update 17 then.
Keep in mind that
Presumably.
summer could be any time before, like, September.
Right, but that's still sooner than I thought it was going to be. So, I thought we'd be lucky to even have it by December of this year, to be honest. So that's pretty cool news. I'm excited to see what they have cooked up. I can't wait to see the beta testing to hopefully help with that. They did say in a bunch of later posts on the forums that they are going to be keeping the old map as well, and they think because of the server merges that there will be plenty of players to play on both. And they also said that they'll be able to pick which style of play they want, which suggests that this new PvP map is going to be very different than whatever the Entmoors is like, So.
Well, at the very least, it's going to be an urban setting.
Right, and the whole thing taking place in a city with narrow streets and things like that. So it'll be really interesting to see how they do a different PvP map because they haven't built one since before the game came out. So that it's been over 8 years now. So it'll be interesting to see what their new take on that is. Any other thoughts on PvP?
Well, I am kind of hoping that they give the creeps some love since they're going to work on a new map because so underpowered.
Yeah. One thing that I thought was interesting is that this was the first item in the producer's letter. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
Well,
All
it's
right.
going to be the highlight, I think, of update 17.
Probably considering that the next big update will probably be Minas Tirith after that. So which we'll get to in a bit. So the next item in the producer's letter was Adventures of Bingo Boffin. And it says, quote, "Also set for a summer release is the new episodic quests, in which you will follow the trail of a new hobbit friend, Bingo Boffin, as he traverses Middle-earth. Each week a new episode of the quest will unlock, showing you where Bingo is off to next." So, I have mixed feelings on this, because I didn't expect this to be hobbit content traveling across Middle-earth, because that's kind of weird.
Well, hobbits.
I think Bingo's real name is Pashbro, and they're just copying from our own series, is what's going on here. I
Does
think
that mean his wife
Pashbro
is going to be
has.
chasing him all over the place?
I think Pashbro has a court case to go to after this, but anyway, um, it sounds interesting. It'll be interesting to see what kind of story they're telling, and what parts of Middle Earth they're going to go to. But I'm curious, and they did confirm in other places that it is planned to be every week once this starts. So we should have weekly
Yeah.
content coming up pretty soon. So that's
So
kind of
will it
exciting.
stack? I mean, so week 1, and then it'll be next week. It's week 1 plus week 2, then week 1 plus week 2 plus
Right.
week 3.
I
The
would
old
hope so,
content
yeah.
added will still be there till the end of time, is what they suggested on the forums. So
That'd be interesting. So whenever
Yeah.
you jump in, you have like this long quest chain that you can follow around.
right,
Kind of
and
makes me wonder if Bingo is searching for his lost brothers, Bongo and Bango.
all right, I think we're done with that section.
Or his lost girlfriend Bimbo.
Oh,
Now we're
good
really done.
grief.
So the producer's letter continues on with Minas Tirith. For the late fall world designer, Chris Pearson is already hard at work carving this shining example of Middle-earth beauty from stone, or code, and laying the groundwork for exciting and surprising take on the Siege of Gondor that will be unlike anything you have seen before. We are really excited about the plans, but we won't spoil them here. What the heck does that mean? I'm guessing not epic battles if they're saying it's unlike anything we've seen before. What do you guys think? Do you think that this is just like
I
PR
just
speak?
really hope it's not like a whole new system that we're gonna have to learn all over again.
Do you think, okay, so let's go around the table here. Do you think that this is PR speak, or do you think that this is a new system, or maybe landscape attack, or like a dynamic event that happens at certain times in the day on the landscape? So basically, do you think it's epic battle or not epic battle? Let's go around the table here. Trish, what do you think?
Oh lordy, I don't know. I'm kind of hoping it's not epic battle.
Yeah.
Gosh, I don't know. Do you think it could be session play? Hopefully not session play.
Well, that's not new.
Well,
Yeah, I'm hoping it's on the landscape myself.
I think it would be really interesting if they attempted a dynamic event that had all kind of like what Guild Wars does, where you have all the players get to a certain part of the map, and a world boss essentially spawns, or in this case, the Battle of Minas Tirith, and you go through that whole thing that way. It'll be
Oh, that could be.
yeah. So they might be doing something like that. And with the new servers, maybe that's part of why they had to switch to new servers.
Well, and I would think that they would need to be, they would want to be doing sort of the new, newer gaming technology, to keep up with
Right.
some of the newer games. So that would make sense.
Or maybe like an open instance, like how some of the instanced areas for the height bold repeatables, like where you go in and defeat so many enemies, something like that, maybe.
All right, Carv, what do you think?
Well, there's a couple things that come to mind now that Terry Edwin mentioned the open instance thing. In Rise of Isengard, there's this hill covered with purple flowers where you go up to the top of it during a certain quest line, and all of a sudden you like shift into this battle where you're having to run around and kill a bunch of mobs that you don't see until you enter that area. So I can envision something like that since the tech is there. But at the same time, I'm also envisioning like in Isengard, there's a 3-man instance that deals with lumber yards, I think it is, where you have to like sneak up on the hill behind Isengard, and there's this continual patrol of orcs going up and down the hill, and you have to time your run across this line, or else you just get mobbed and destroyed. And I can envision something in an instanced landscape situation where you go into the area, there's going to be a fight. You've got these mobs that come in. If they don't engage players, they kind of disappear off into the sunset. Or certain mobs maybe in that line you have to target, like you have to pull one particular group that's got a certain kind of mob you have to do for a quest. And it has that same kind of mechanic where you go in the instance when you cross a borderline, and when you leave, it doesn't necessarily follow you out.
Yeah, that's possible as well. Pineleaf, what do you think?
I don't think it's an epic battle.
Well, that's good.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. Yay.
Uh, right, and well, they say it's going to be a different take than what we've seen. So I would presume they mean a different take than what we've seen in the movies or anything like that.
Mm.
But what that will be, I don't know. I was just picturing us being catapulted into there by the orcs capture us and use us for ammunition for one of their catapults.
That would be
That's how we get into the
different.
city.
Especially if you take the Peter Jackson version where it's just, like my. All right. Well, I think that hopefully it won't be an epic battle, or maybe they're totally redoing it, the epic battle system, and it'll be something like that, but different somehow.
But you
Um,
mean so that even Dracula like it?
one thing I would like to point out is that Osgiliath, they were instances, they were not epic battles. So maybe they're moving
Mm.
away from that system, and maybe they've come up with something new to do at Minas Tirith. Obviously, everything, this whole topic about Minas Tirith has been highly speculative, but it'll be very interesting to see what they do with Minas Tirith, and they have me intrigued, especially if it's not an epic battle.
And I think the next major new system in technology is going to be at Pelennor, not at the Siege of Gondor.
Yeah, that's possible. They do say specifically Siege of Gondor here, so
Yeah,
that is a good point.
I would speculate the whole thing, Pelennor and Gondor, is going to be, or Pelennor and Minas Tirith, is going to be a whole lot of different things going on.
well, yeah.
The
When you
the ultimate
consider,
thing that I would like is in Guild Wars they have some places where there's battles lined up back to back. How cool would it be if they just start out with like the Siege of Gondor, and then they add in later other parts of the battle as it goes, as like they build it. And so, eventually you can play through the whole thing on the landscape over the course of like an hour or two. That would be pretty cool.
that would be neat.
All right, I think that that's enough in the speculation territory on that anyway. Let's go on to the next item, which is a new store. Quote, at the moment of, or rather, at the end of the month of June, we will be transitioning to a completely new store that features more payment options, one-click buys, and a cleaner interface. Thank goodness. As part of this transition, those of you relying on certain alternative payments will lose access to those payments beginning June 12th for a short amount of time. Within a month of that date, however, we should have a new store online that will provide many more payment options than we have had previously. We are also taking advantage of this opportunity to update and streamline the in-game store to be a better experience all around. So that sounds good. They did say in the forums that they are switching to a new store provider because Turbine actually does not control the store personally. They actually go through a third party, and so they take care of all that stuff. And so anytime they want to add something to the store, they have to go through a third party. And so they said for a few reasons, which you can read on the forums, they're actually going to be moving over to a new provider. And with that, obviously, they're doing a lot of redesigning of the interface and things like that, which I think is only good news because the store is so laggy and out of date.
It's just clunky.
It's just
Well,
terrible.
let's just hope that it doesn't become any more invasive than it is, because it's not super invasive as it is now, but it could easily get there.
Yeah, it could. One thing that I did like that they said was that it will not change any of the store prices that are currently in the store, so that's good. So they're just changing the way that the store works. They're not changing any prices or anything like that. So that is good news. Any other thoughts on the new store?
Well, given that we're dealing with a third-party vendor, whenever we click on a link that's established in the Lotro UI, it's pushing us to whatever that third-party vendor is. So I can't really see that Turbine would do any additional changes to the UI to get us there. I just think that once we
Right.
get there, that window that pops up will be different. So I don't think it's going to be any more invasive, Terry.
Yeah, and the store does look really old and
Yeah.
runs like a really old
It
style
looked
store.
old the day it was released.
Yeah, honestly, it was probably 5 years older than what most MMO games were when it came out. So yeah, they definitely need to be updating that, and hopefully that'll encourage more players to use the store, which only means good things for Turbine and Lotro. All right, continuing on, they talk about new data centers and servers. We spoke about this turbine-wide upgrade at the beginning of the year, and had expected to have it done by now, but weather and other obstacles set us back. We finally have some progress, and we can safely say that by the end of September 2015, we should have the servers moved to our new data center with upgraded hardware and operating systems. The US server will operate from our new data center in New Jersey, while our other EU servers will move back to Europe and reside in our new data center in Amsterdam. So that's good news, I think. We should have the new, better, more improved servers later this year. So that's good. And also, if people from Europe, use a lot of the Europe stuff, it should speed up US stuff even just by that. And also, they're moving it to New Jersey, which should help. And as many longtime Lotro players know, although it hasn't happened recently, they had a lot of server issues in the past with lengthy downtimes that really shouldn't ever happen. Brax is actually has a background in server management, and he says the servers should never go down because usually they have 1 to 2 backup servers that they can move everything onto fairly quickly, and they definitely shouldn't go down for multiple days. So hopefully this new provider will keep Lotro up and running longer periods of time, and hopefully it'll run faster and work better. Any other thoughts?
Yay, new servers.
All right,
New
and they
hardware.
continue on to talk about the transfer system in particular with the server merge. To support the move to the upgraded server hardware, we will be implementing an improved server transfer service that will run from the game launcher rather than a website. Once implemented, server transfers can be account or character based, so that all your account level items, including marks, mithril coins, etc., can be transferred. We'll also be adding functionality that will allow kin leaders to disband their kin on one world and then recreate it on another, maintaining status and achievements earned by that kin over its lifetime. More details and breakdowns on all of this to be coming in the next few weeks as we move into the final phases of development and testing. So it looks like they got the kin stuff to work, so that's awesome.
That's good, yeah.
And also, it looks like mithril coins and marks and some other things will be able to be transferred. They sounded pretty confident in this since they put it in the producer's letter. So that means that they've at least done internal testing on it, and presumably it worked. So that is good news, I guess. It'll be interesting to see how all that plays out. I'm really glad, again, that it is in the launcher. I know we already knew that, but that is going to simplify the transfer process a lot, I think. So I'm glad about that. Any other thoughts on transfers?
Yeah, one thing is they're not yet announcing what servers are closing down. They want to avoid people, let's say, rushing into the off of some worlds and into others. A, of course, back when they still have to pay for it, and B, they don't want to do it so early that they blow up the current hardware, which can't handle the numbers that the new
Well,
servers will be able to.
there's that, and they've said that they haven't technically decided every single final one that is going to be closed.
Yes, there is that detail also, but so it's a combination of things. But the point is, and so you have both technical reasons why they don't want to, and of course managerial ones.
Right. And so they did say that they're going to give players plenty of time, though, and I'm sure they will. So those of you that have been freaking out about that, don't worry too much. They'll definitely let you know ahead of time. They've said that time and time again, and that has not been, they haven't wavered on that at all. So I'm sure that it's going to be plenty of preparation. It's just that they've pushed it back farther than where they thought it was going to be because of weather and other things like they said. Alright, and it does conclude with a couple more things. You will have 3 months past the date of launch of the new service in which to continue playing on the smaller worlds while planning and or making your move to a larger server. At that point, your character will always be available to be transferred to one of the remaining worlds. However, you will only be able to log in to the remaining servers. More details on all of this, as well as detailed instructions on how to move, will be provided in email, in-game mail, as well as website and forums in the months to come, and probably on Lotro Players. Other features. There are a number of other features we are still developing and are not at the point of talking about yet for the remainder of the year. More on these things as they come closer to fruition. So basically, we'll probably get another producer's letter.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so as a whole, what do you guys think about this summer producer's letter? Does it sound like a good plan? What are your guys' thoughts? Let's start with Terry.
Overall, I think this is a really positive letter. It definitely shows that they're working on things that they said at the beginning of the year that they were working on. You know, they haven't dropped anything. I'm particularly excited about seeing Minas Tirith.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've sort of seen it from a distance, but I want to be up close to it. Plus, the new data center in New Jersey is closer to me, so hopefully less lag. Less lag would be awesome, considering I play on Landreval, which is super, super laggy because it's very crowded.
All right, Pineleaf.
Overall, I think it's a pretty positive one, and I think one of the things to note is that unlike some earlier years where we had a producer's letter which I thought was a little bit overly ambitious, this sounds like something that is not overcommitting, so to speak.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they barely mentioned Minas Tirith, which is the update at the end of the year. This is literally just a summer's producer's letter that's just
Right.
talking about things that are going to be happening between now and September-ish, October-ish. So,
Well, the Minas Tirith is
right, but they
I
don't
got the
say anything
variation
new. They just
is
say that,
November December.
yeah, they just don't say anything new. They're just saying, yeah, we're still working on it,
Yeah.
basically. But they went into depth in everything else. So,
Right.
all right, Trish.
Well, I'm with everybody else. I mean, I think it sounds really positive. As you say, I don't know if there's anything in here that we didn't already know, although I probably missed it before, but the whole thing about being able to move, whole kinships to another server, I guess that's required, though, given the fact that they're shutting down some of the servers. So I guess that would be a thing they would add in. But somehow that got by me, and I thought, well, that's kind of interesting.
Right.
Anyway, I just think it's pretty positive.
Yeah, new stuff was the new store, and we actually got details on the PvP map and adventures of Bingo Boffin.
Yeah, my jury's out on Bingo Boffin, and the new
Mine
store.
too.
I mean, we'll just see. Hopefully,
Yeah,
it'll
we'll
be better.
see. All right, and Carve.
Sounds good to me.
All right, yeah, I think it's good news as well. Hopefully, it'll be interesting to see what the next producer's letter has. But I'm really surprised that the new PvP map is scheduled for this summer. That's pretty surprising. So that is pretty much the news of the producer's letter. Let's go back to you, Pineleaf.
Very well. Our next item is that we have a casual stroll through the Shire. That's right, Professor Olson has going through the Shire with his burglar and Trish. How's he going along?
It was we had really good feedback from the people that were on this stream with him yesterday. Some people were like, who is this guy? Who is this talking? Which is pretty funny. But he, first of all, thanks to Terry, which I'm sure she'll talk about, he is kitted out well. So he's got his just a regular guy in Hobbiton outfit, his ninja burglar outfit, and his hiding in plain sight outfit, which I'll let Terry tell you about that later, a little foreshadow. But the thing that's really neat about this series is he really goes into detail. I mean, people were really excited about it because he talked about like Hobbit architecture. We went to visit notable people and notable pubs. We even went to visit the guys in The Bird and Baby, and he explained who those were. So, a lot of lore and a lot of sort of Tolkien information that just kind of gets talked about while he's running along and doing these things. So it was really entertaining. It was a lot of fun. He almost got killed by a couple of bears picking up it was really funny. It was like, what was it, the barrel of pipeweed? He goes, why would a hobbit hide a barrel of pipeweed in a cave of bears?
Yeah, that was rather crazy, but
Yeah.
some
And I said to him later, I said, I thought you were going to lose it. I said, it would have been entertaining, but you were close to losing it. And he was, I know. Anyway, it
Now,
was a
I
really, really
noticed
good series.
I noticed his priorities in here. The quests that he decided to do, other than the epic, was the one with the fireworks.
Yeah, yes. Yes. And it may be, I don't know what, maybe it's because the saltpeter quest takes us to a different part of the Shire. I don't know what his logic was, but I would say probably there was more to it than just that. I agree with you, Pineleaf.
Yeah, I think it's because it takes us to 3 different parts. Because after that, it'll take you to
Oh,
Overhill, then
that's
it'll take you
right.
up to Needlehold.
That's right. That's right. That's
Yeah, and
right.
hopefully in the process he'll do one of my favorite Shire quests, which is of course the Black Rider of Budgeford.
Oh,
You've got to do that.
He's got to do that. I'll double check, but I can't imagine that he's not going to do that. That's going to be a riot. So yeah, it's really entertaining, and it's entertaining and it's educational, which is what Mythgard's about. But it was a lot of fun. We had a lot, it was really lively chat too. So every Friday at 12:30 server time.
And Lily Kate is saying Lobelia the Frog. You have to get him over to Frogmorton to do that one.
Oh, yeah, okay. Right. Oh, Lily Kate was so funny because he was like doing his fashion show at the very beginning, and he was like, she could see on the screen that he only had 3 cosmetic slots. She goes, how do you get by with only 3 cosmetic slots? He goes, well, I actually have to admit that I had to buy one.
You had to buy the 3rd one, yeah.
But it was great. It was really great. So we'll, I'm sure one of us will be updating you probably every week with the latest adventures of Grifflet, the burglarious hobbit.
Ooh. All right then. And Turbine is giving away a graphics card.
Yes, they are. They are giving away what is it? Hang on. It's an NVIDIA GeForce GTX 960. They're actually giving away 5 of them. Not just one, they're giving away 5. If you go to the article, there's a link to the Facebook page where you can vote for one of 4 images of where you'd go first. If you were to be a winner of one of these cards, the choices are Angmar, the Gates of the Argonath, Evendim, and Lothlorien.
Yeah, and this is interesting. It suggests that they might be updating some graphic stuff in the future, because a lot of times when they do these type of partnership giveaways, it's related to something they're doing to the game graphic stuff in the past anyway with Lotro. So it'll be interesting to see if there's any graphical upgrades to Lotro coming up.
Cool.
All right, let's head into the store sales.
Free sample of the week this week is a simple rally horn. Use coupon code BBRHT 1 time per account.
Yeah, and I think you used that yesterday.
I did, actually. I used it yesterday because I milestoned and was questing with Pineleaf, and Pineleaf didn't have the milestone, so I remembered that the simple rally horn was free, and hey, I got one and summoned Pineleaf, so that worked. We also have 30% off the Gift of the Valar, the Third Age item trove, and a legacy scroll box. And also from May 22nd to June 1st, double bonus points in the Lotro store if you buy Turbine points.
Awesome.
Now it's the time to stock up on points.
Drac in the chat does say that it is a DX12 card, which most of you might know that DX12 is not out yet, but it will be upgraded to DX12 once it does get released through a patch. And so that suggests that Lotro might be working on DX12 stuff for an upgrade with that. Lotro was one of the first games to upgrade to DX11, which allowed a lot of the water physics and things like that in the game if you have a good enough computer. So, pretty cool.
All right then, and let's head into the Lotro Players News. And our first item is that the 100th episode of Lotro Players News is going to be on May 30th.
That's right, Pineleaf. If you guys have not looked at the number on this week's show, it's episode 99. We're one episode away from episode 100. We're going to have a ton of our past guests back on the show. We're going to have pretty much all of our past co-hosts back on the show. So it should be a really exciting, packed show. And guess what, Pineleaf?
What?
If you were not on the show, well, even if you're on the show, you can send in an audio file to podcast@lotroplayers.com of your own voice recording of what you like about the podcast, maybe something you want to tell us, whatever you want it to be. Just send in a audio file, and as long as it's appropriate and family friendly, we'll play it on the show. So, that's pretty cool. Also, you can send in your emails as well to podcast@lotroplayers.com, and we'll read them on the 100th show. So very, very exciting. Also, be sure to look on the site on June 1st when that episode eventually releases for things about Lotro Players' 2-year anniversary, which is coming up, and there'll be possibly some giveaways going on then, which could be really exciting. So definitely a lot of big stuff coming up for LotroPlayers.com, so be on the lookout for that as well.
And speaking of exciting things for Lotro Players, Lotro Academy 106 revealed a secret.
That's right, Pineleaf. The secret project is no longer a secret, at least to the people who listened to the secret episode of Academy about the secret project.
What?
So, with that in mind, I think I'll go ahead and tell people on here, if you want to hear a more in-depth version, you can listen to Lotro Academy, of course. But we did announce the secret project as Middle-earth Lore, which is going to be a YouTube video series going through the lore of Tolkien. So basically different areas. So for example, our first episode's the Shire. And basically using Lotro as a visual medium to portray whatever lore topic we'll be talking about. And we even have like in-game actors, we have audio editors, script editors, all sorts of stuff that you'd expect from like a film or a TV show production team that are all volunteering and helping out with this. So very, very exciting project. Hopefully they'll be releasing sometime in the near future, which if you want a little bit more accurate timeline than that, then you can listen to Lotro Academy, episode 106.
All right then. And we had our usual poll this week, and this time the question is, how many classes have you tried?
That's right, Pineleaf. I'm responding to the chat, so I don't know what the poll results are.
Okay, I'll tell you the poll results are. We have, for all 10 is the winner with 47% of the votes.
It's actually not that surprising.
Yeah, so
I was
almost half
kind of
them have.
surprised, I must admit.
It did say how many have you tried, so it doesn't
Yeah,
necessarily
how
mean
many have you tried? It doesn't necessarily mean how many you've played up to a certain level.
Right.
It's true.
5 to 7 received 22% of the votes. 8 to 9, 16%. So those who played 8 or 9 went all the way and got to be earning and did 10, it looks like. 2 to 4 is 12%, and only 3% said 1.
Wow. And there were 301 total votes in this poll. So that's cool. Yeah, nothing too surprising with that, especially the one at the bottom, but it makes sense. The poll makes sense.
So now do you next ask, how many have you gotten to cap?
Well, that might be being written down in the Google Calendar right now. In the Lotro calendar.
All right. And we have, for the first time in a while, an updated version of the Tuck Bros skirmish description in Piney's pictorial primer to skirmishing. That is right. The article series that originated on A Casual Stroll to Mordor has now finally arrived at Lotro Players, and I look at the first of the skirmishes, Trouble in Tuckborough, and go into as thorough examination as I could do on everything that happens in that skirmish. So if you're having trouble with Tuckborough, read this article and hopefully it will tell you what you need to know.
Or in other words, the skirmish director is finally doing his job. Since Pineleaf was originally made the director of the skirmish section of the site. But anyway. No, this is awesome. I mean, I can't even imagine how much time it takes to make these like spreadsheets and all that stuff. It is just ridiculous how in depth you go into all of this, and I absolutely love these on CSTM, and so I'm really glad that you're updating these with the new versions of Lotro. So that's really exciting.
And I'm sure Lily Kate would like to announce this if she were here tonight. And that is that Weatherstock band registration is now open.
That's right,
So if you are a
Pineleaf.
band leader,
And Bree in Landerville server has been proof of this, that band registration is open,
Oh my
because
God,
there have
crazy.
been so many bands there. Every year on Landerville, once people realize that Weatherstock's actually happening, it just instantly fills up Bree with tons and tons of bands. And now that there's the stage there, there's like 3 or 4
Why
different corners.
Bree? I mean, there's so many other places people could go. Is there some reason why Bree?
It's just kind of always been the main roleplay place on
Jeez.
Landerville. And part of it is, especially now that there's a stage right across from the Prancing Pony, and that's just the general place where people go. And keep in mind that a lot of bands are from other servers, and so they just have their low-level alts.
Oh, right,
And
sure.
so, it has to be in one of the low-level areas, and Bree is a pretty safe one as far as that goes. So,
and everyone eventually gets sent to Bree.
yep.
After, no matter where you start, you get sent to Bree. So it's the first place where all the players go to.
Yep.
And so therefore, if you're interested, then look up at the article on how you could register your band.
That was like a mini new player question. That was great.
Yeah.
That's why
All
I will
right.
be avoiding Bree for the foreseeable future.
Let's go into Lotro video highlights. Middle Earth 2013.
That's right, Pineleaf. This is one of my top 5, and it's pretty high up there. It's a really, really good trailer, and it covers the past and future of Lotro, where it will be going. So this is a pretty amazing trailer. It's put to fantastic music, and it has a kind of funny joke at the end too. So I
Yeah, it
really,
does.
really like this trailer, and it's definitely one of my favorite Lotro trailers.
Right
So, yeah.
then. And we continue with the Family Line story, and this week's episode is Part 45, The Truth Seeker. So hopefully they'll find out the truth.
Like if Carve actually made it to be caught up yet.
Well, I guess
No,
you got a
not
point
yet.
with that.
Not yet. Carve spent most of his week working on physical computer hardware, so he didn't have a chance to read much.
All right then. Then let's go into Trisha's pick of the week. And what is your pick, Trish? Oh, Maven.
Maven?
Being muted.
She's probably muted again.
Or
Oh, you
she's
missed
gone to
the
the
whole
void.
act. Oh my gosh, you missed the whole act. Okay, it's all right. It's okay. I'm not going to do it again. I have a recommendation. It's a book, but I listened to it on audio, which I think made it even better. It's called Ready Player One, and it's a book about. It takes place probably around like 2045 or something like that, about a time when there's like this one giant MMO that everybody on the planet spends most of their days in. It's gotten to be so, like commerce and everything. It's like it's a whole nother And the real world has become so horrible that people would rather be in the game. Anyway, the guy uh, who created the game has died, or actually, when the story opens, probably been about 5 years since he died. But in his will, he said that he'd left an Easter egg in the game, and whoever found the Easter egg would get his like bajillion-dollar estate. So there's been all this stuff happen. Gamers have you know been spending all this time trying to figure it out. There's like a whole company that's sprung up just to find this Easter egg. And the thing about the guy who created the game is he grew up in the 80s. So he did all the old games on all the like Atari and K-Pro. Did K-Pro do? I don't know if they did or not, but all of those old games in the 80s. And he was also really into like geek films and all this other stuff. So a lot of his Easter eggs kind of are around 1980s sort of geek culture, if you will. So the story is a lot of fun, and the capper about the audio is that it's narrated by Will Wheaton, which gets a little bit meta because Will Wheaton actually is referred to in the book. So that's really interesting. So I think anybody who's a gamer, and especially anybody who was aware of what was going on in the 80s in terms of gaming and films and books and television shows, will really enjoy this book. And if you can, do it as an audio, because it's just a lot of fun to listen to Will Wheaton narrate it. So highly recommended.
All right. Yeah, that does sound like the perfect narrator for that book.
Oh, yeah.
So let's go into our new player question. What's your question this week?
And my microphone is on. Yay! Well, in honor of the amazing job that my client Terry Adwin, I am her agent now. She is now selling consulting services to people for makeovers and wardrobe counseling. She did this with Corey for two of his characters, for Wigand, who's the founder of Mythgard, who does the Mythgard Adventure lore talks and quests, and then Grifflet, who does the Fridays. So we had a great time doing that, and it kind of brought up a lot of stuff because Corey just he said he completely forgotten there was a wardrobe. It's like he kind of looked at it way when he was first starting, and then he's just like, oh, I don't even know. He just forgot it was there. So he had a lot of great new player questions about it. And so I just thought I'd bring that up because I think probably there are folks who, how do you use a wardrobe, and how does it work, and what do you put in there, and what can you do with the stuff? And okay, so probably Terry, you'd be a good person to answer this question.
I will go ahead and take that away. I just want to pull up a link real quick because actually most everything that I know from the wardrobe I got from Cosmetic Lotro, who wrote a fantastic article about how to use the wardrobe, which I will put in the show notes, because it's a special kind of shared storage. It's a shared storage that doesn't actually keep any things in it, but it keeps copies of equipment. So it just keeps like the cosmetic look of it. It doesn't keep any of the stats, doesn't help your other characters at all. But it's a great way to use gear that, for example, if you've got a light armor class wearing character that you want to put a heavy shoulder piece on for some look, you can do that. Or if you want to wear, your character's level 10, you want to wear a shoulder piece from the lovely level 100 Dol Amroth set, because that stuff is really, really beautiful. You can do that. You toss it in the wardrobe, and then you have a cosmetic copy of it that you can put on your character whenever you feel like it. And it is shared because you can a quest reward that drops for one character that your other characters haven't been through the quest. Put it in the wardrobe. It looks great on your warden, which is actually pretty much what's in most of my wardrobe. And Himne's got a couple of really good suggestions for how to use it. Also, you can dye things different colors by putting them in the wardrobe and then just applying the colors there. So you can actually have like a single piece, like a hat or something that has 5 or 6 different colors, so you can change it without actually having to go out and find which character got the hat and go dye it manually and then try and equip it. You can just have all those colors pre-saved into your wardrobe. And then my best piece of advice that I got from her is she likes to use it just for, well, more for accessory pieces than keeping chests and leggings and stuff. The main pieces that you may not necessarily duplicate very often, but accessories you can always use. So that's a good start. Does anybody else have anything to add?
The
Anybody?
wardrobe's where you put clothes.
See, I knew Terry was the right person to ask for the answer.
Somebody had to fill in the void that Sithrith left when Sithrith left, because she was
Yes.
really great with cosmetics, and I don't consider myself to be half as expert as a lot of the people that have done blogs about it, and Sithrith was doing videos about it, but I've learned a lot from other people. So, and my best advice on how to use the wardrobe is to, check out Himni's blog, check out Starry Mantle, Lotro Fashion, Lotro Stylist, bunch of different Lotro fashion blogs. If you're at all interested in cosmetic looks so your character doesn't look like a hobo with whatever armor they picked up off the last thing they killed, these are the places that you want to go. And yes, class restricted cosmetics like the Isengard camp barter stuff, where you have to be a minstrel in order to wear the gear. The same applies if you want to use it cosmetically without using the wardrobe.
Cool.
Right, so just drop it into the wardrobe and voila.
Yep.
Any character can use it.
Well, almost. There is a slight hitch. The first thing you have to do is pony up some TP to unlock slots.
If you're not VIP, yes.
Right, because VIPs get 20 slots for free.
VIP gets 20 slots for free. And
But
you
then
Or
you
as
wait
part
till
of their
there's a
payment, I
sale,
should
because
say.
they just had a sale in the store a couple weeks ago, which was a
they
pretty good
did.
deal.
They have it on sale fairly regularly. They'll have a
Yep.
cosmetic sale. The other thing too is that if you are VIP and drop back to premium, anything that's already in your wardrobe stays there. So you could go VIP for a month, put a bunch of stuff in your wardrobe, still be able to dye it. You just can't, remove it and add another
Right.
piece. So
Well, you can remove it, you just can't add anything.
you can remove it. You just can't add anything else.
Great. Well,
All right,
hopefully
anybody
that's
else
a
have
good
anything
start.
to add?
I think we're good.
All right, you will access the wardrobe at the same location where you will access the vault and shared storage, and that will be at your bank or anywhere on Middle Earth.
Yeah, so you can watch people as they're working with their wardrobes because they're standing in front of the vault keeper and they are changing outfits.
All right, let's go into our weekend Lotro. Andang, what did you do this week?
Yes, well, Pineleaf, now I can actually talk about the stuff that I've done the last few weeks because,
Oh,
when I was like touring the landscape, I was really actually, filming Middle-earth lore shots. So that was a thing. But to be fair, this type of, changing what you've done in the week to make it look like something else is not the first time. Because whenever there was a Lotro beta on, Golden Star always talked about how she played lots and lots of Skyrim, when in reality she was playing the Lotro beta. But so if you go back and listen to old CSTM episodes, there's a lot of Skyrim episodes about her talking about how she played lots and lots, which she technically did play Skyrim those weeks, but she really played a lot of the Lotro beta. So anyway, I filmed Middle-earth lore stuff. We actually met today in Bree to do filming of various shots with some of the characters that are involved that are needed for the story.
And boy, was
So
that hard.
I was going to
It
say, given the
was.
lag we just talked about, people can imagine it was
Yay.
not easy.
especially
That's-
since we had to film around the Prancing Pony, which is where the main bulk of it is.
Then you have role players who don't respond when you say aloud that you need them to move. They get all uppity and huffy and be like, "How do you know my name? Why are you talking to me?" And you really just need them to move a couple steps to the right.
It's like,
Well-
don't make me role play, just move.
To be fair,
Hey.
to be fair, it is a game, and we're doing something that's not so much game-like in it, so we're not too different from the role players. But yeah. So anyway, After that, well, not after that, before actually, I got back into the Epic Story playthrough for my Lore Master. Since I had a backlog, I hadn't been playing it too much, but I got back into it this week and made my way through the Great River and was really surprised how quick you actually get through a lot of the Great River stuff. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you talk to Galadriel, and then the next thing you know, you're like in Stangard, and you're like, what the heck just happened? Where was I? How did this happen? So yeah, it moves very quickly. You get out of the forest quite nicely, which is great since you've already talked to Galadriel so many times before. So that was fun. And also I just listened to some of the bands in Bree because they were around, so might as well listen to them. And there were some good ones there. They were playing 50s music, which was kind of cool to hear in the Lotro music system. So that's pretty much what I did. Maven, what have you been up to?
Oh, well, let's see. I died about 20 times doing the Icy Crevasse at Mythgard Adventures under Pineleaf's mentoring. Thank God Terry had taken
Not
me
very
through
good
it the day
mentoring.
before. Well, well, actually, it's probably more sympathy. Pineleaf's sympathy. Oh, you got that, Lieutenant. Oh, poor people. So we all ended up with, I think, like a 30% mark penalty because we died so much, but we finally did manage to prevail. It's definitely, well, the thing is, I mean, Pineleaf keeps telling us this, and it is true. Don't do a skirmish with 4 people because it defaults to a 6-person, 6-man fellowship skirmish. And so trying to do Icy Crevasse with 4 people, which is, going to be set at 6 people, it was crazy. It wasn't until we finally added 2 more people, it was like, okay, now we got it. So that was interesting. I dusted off my poor captain who's been like languishing, wondering when I was going to be back, and leveled him up from 43 to 47 with Terry's Wardens. So we're going to go off now and get our legendary items and cut a swath through Middle Earth with our legendary items. And I caught up on the Volume 1 epic with both my Hobbit Burglar and my Dwarf Mini. So sort of a light week, I guess, other than the acting part. Oh, Carve, how about you?
Yeah. Tuesday, the slow leveling group, this is what we've been calling it for a while. Now it has a name. It was kind of voted on since I kind of half-heartedly mentioned it one time, and Terry and one of our other members were like, "Yeah, we should go with that." So I didn't pick this out of narcissistic reasons. It was voted on, but now we're Carvin Company. So whenever I talk about Carvin Company, that's our Tuesday slow leveling group. And we moved out of Angmar, moved into Moria, started doing the epic. So we're on our way to 60. And then we'll camp there and sledge through the basement of Moria for a while. I set up my new computer, very excited about that. And as I was logging in to check out various different things, now looking at Lotro in 180p with HD graphics, and ooh, it's so pretty. Um, I went into Trestle Bridge to take a look at the gorge and stand under the bridge and look out at the waterfall and the water. And my 7-year-old wandered in. She goes, "Ooh, Daddy, jump!" Okay, so I just flung my burglar into the air. Didn't use safe fall. Just kind of leapt off and landed in the water and survived. And I thought that was pretty cool. But that's the first thing she says. "Hey, you're in a game, Dad. It's not real." Okay.
Great.
Yeah, I was like, all right. After that, I started leveling Carvet again, my main. So he's actually going to start running through Rohan, which is cool since I've been in Rohan since the last time I was there, which was very laggy. And before, during, and after assisting with the lore filming this afternoon, with the man role that was needed, my captain was kind of hanging out between takes, playing with his new level 60 first ager and playing with relics and runes and legacies and stuff. So I'm excited to go back into Moria with my new shiny sword.
That's what I should do. I should get
There you
a
go.
first stager for my burglar at level 50.
Right.
Totally useful.
Yeah.
All right. Lily Kate left us a list
Lily
of what
Kate-
she did.
Yes, Lily Kate left us, and I promised I would read it because she was going to join us, but her volume was not cooperating. So she tested Music 18 song Rock set for a concert on Dwarrowed Elf, May 30th, 2 p.m. at the Bree stage. So is this Lily Kate's Creatures, or is this
So this is her
Turing Bands?
traveling her traveling band. It's normally it's a group of all four of her groups, and we do a series of things going. So first some TSO stuff, then some creature stuff, then some clarinet stuff. So some for each of those. So
cool.
this time we are concentrating more on creature style stuff instead of the other styles because I believe it's to celebrate because of the server we're going to.
Cool. So yeah, that next weekend, May 30th on Saturday at 2 p.m. server time on the Bree stage. You can see Lily Kate and all of her wonderful music. And she also created some new music for a future project, which I'm very excited to hear about later, Lily. And she also started a new YouTube series featuring Lily Kate on Brandywine. And Lizzie helps her, and she actually had a whole list in here, and we got her to pare it down to 3.
Yeah. So what did you do yourself?
What I did myself, well, I kind of have to touch on the level 50, the Carving Company group, because I managed to annoy everybody on Tuesday I play the burglar in that group, and while I don't role play, I do talk as the penny pinching burglar while we're riding around. So I basically spent a good half hour of Tuesday session annoying everybody by complaining about how much the dwarves were charging for their slow goat travel in Moria. And somebody in the group traded me a gold trying to get me to shut up, and somebody else asked if it actually worked, and I said no. I outfitted the Tolkien professor on his live stream, so not only did I give him 3 new outfits for 2 of his characters, we did it through the live stream.
Cool.
Yeah, Wiggins, we did a scholar outfit, we did a social outfit, and then we did a very badass looking battle outfit for when he goes out adventuring. And then for the burglar, we did a Hobbit about the Shire blending in farm boy look, and we did a very stealthy all black ninja look, which is hilarious to watch him in because he's shh, I'm sneaking, I'm a ninja, I don't want to scare these hobbits, so I'm going to change back to my other look. But when he leaves the Shire and is going to blend in, he can hide in bushes with the outfit that I created that has a cake topper hat, so all they can see is the hat, and he can totally distract his enemies by thinking they're just walking past a simple cake, and then he can jump out and backstab them.
But he can't do that in the Shire because what
He
Hobbit
can't do
would
that in the
walk
Shire.
by?
No, that's why the other look is for the Hobbit in the Shire.
Okay, I thought it was a party hat.
No, it's a blending in outside of the Shire. He can hide in bushes.
He has a strange idea what blending in is.
It was a reference to a Twitter conversation earlier in the week when I was asking for help because I was looking for inspiration for ideas, and somebody suggested the cake hat as a method of blending in, and Braxwolf was involved in that conversation, and Corey was very good about it. He was tweeting back, so because he was playing with us in that conversation, I decided I had to do an outfit with the cake hat.
And we wanted to do a U in the box, but unfortunately, those are bind on acquire, right? So we couldn't.
No, they're not bind on acquire. I just couldn't find anybody to give me one.
Oh.
So I'm still looking for the U in the box. People on the interval. If you have one, I can borrow for a few days. And then Terry Adwin achieved kindred with the Men of Lebanon. She acquired the scavenging rat pet for my burglar, Sarissa. So not only is my burglar riding around goats in Moria, she's doing it with a rat pet.
Named Scabbers.
Named Scabbers.
Oh,
yes.
good grief.
A fast enough rat to keep up with a rental slow goat in Moria, I might add. The whole time she's complaining about having to spend 28 silver. These dwarves are gouging my pockets. And the rat's like, yes, master. I'm coming, master. Please don't make me run again, master. I'm like, oh, come on.
Keep in mind, she has 198 gold, but she's complaining about, 35 silver that the dwarves are charging.
Plus a goat that drops gold coins as it travels.
Yes, she has the treasure hunter's goat as her personal steed in Moria. And then I played with Maven on Arkenstone. We have a pair of dwarf brothers. My dwarf Helser is a minstrel, and hers Kelser is a runekeeper, and we got them up to level 12. And I also played with Pineleaf a little bit, but I think he's going to talk about that. Pineleaf?
That's right. On Arkenstone, my Bjorning quested with Terry Adwin, where we were both in the middle of Book 2. So we finished up Book 2 and did all of Book 3 for the epic storyline. And we also ran a pair of skirmishes. We ran Thievery and Mischief and Attack at Dawn. And there's nothing like what you get when you're going through, when you have a Bjorning and a champion ripping through everything.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And we also got up to level 30. That's where we got up to level 31. We were around 30 or 31, I think, when we finished all that.
You managed to hit 32. I was still on 31.
Right. Okay. And I also ran Trouble in Tuckborough numerous times, trying to get the last bit of information I needed for my guide. And this isn't technically within game, but I read what was written, obviously. I couldn't read the parts that were never written. I read Tolkien's poem, The Fall of Arthur.
How far?
He got into
Oh, he fell probably maybe 30 feet or so.
Yeah.
That went right
Oh,
above
that's
Pineleaf's
what
head.
you-
But
oh,
anyway, that was awesome. All right. Anyway.
All right. Let's go into news. Oh, we don't have news beyond Lotro.
But we do have a skirmish.
We do have a skirmish. It's on that borderline time when Ending likes to do it anyway. So therefore, what are the pros and cons of Weathertop? And Corvette, what are you planning to do?
The books.
You are doing the books. All right. And Maven?
I am doing the pro game.
All right. And Ending?
Anti-game.
Anti-game?
That's right, Pineleaf.
Ooh.
For Weathertop.
Stepping out of the expectations here.
Yeah.
Yes, very much out of expectations. And all right, then I will have.
Pineleaf is just
But
asking
Terry-
us to figure out which one
Yeah.
he had to do. That's really all that happened there.
I was trying to. Okay, Terry Adwin.
Well, which one do you want to do? And then I'll pick one of the other ones that's left. Because I wanted to be on the games, but I didn't get it there in time. So
I think Pineleaf gets
Ah.
against the books, and Terry, you get the films. Just because I want to hear Pineleaf go against the books. All right, so Carve.
So Carve, the books. I like how we've got this ragtag bunch of hobbits and this epic wilderness guide going someplace after crossing the swamp and barren lands, and knowing that the road does what it does, or it has this huge sweep around through the countryside. Strider takes him across country, and in the book there's a particular description of Strider knowing that he wants to avoid the road, is weaving them in and out of the rocks along a ridge so as to keep themselves out of sight from what's going on down in the valley. And they reach the dell, and they kind of begin camp, but Strider in his haste runs up to the summit, and he's checking things out and trying to figure out. And I like the way Tolkien describes all that. And then later, as the stuff that goes down with the Nazgul and everything else, I'm not really so much concerned about the major story elements, just kind of how Weathertop itself is described. So what I like how you get bits and snippets of this ancient kingdom that used to be there, how Weathertop was kind of like the three corners, if you will, of Arthedain and Cardolan and Rhudaur, how all these different kingdoms intersected right around where Weathertop was, and how Weathertop was this like big crossroads guardian post between the three of them at one point, and now it's a ruin of something that had fallen centuries prior to. I like how Tolkien described this place of Weathertop. And actually, didn't Weathertop at one point have a Amunsul have a Palantir
It did
before
in
it was
theory.
sacked?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So I mean, the idea that this was a major landmark for some serious political systems centuries ago is now basically being used as another pivotal plot point. I thought it was really nice the way it all played out.
Yeah.
All right, very well. As for the cons, is I must say that at Amansul, whenever someone is in that area, they must be taking their stupid pills.
Wow.
Because look at this. We have Strider up there. He wants to make sure that he sees stuff, but he does it in such a way that the Nazgul could see him from several miles away. And then we have Frodo, who is now, whatever you do, do not put on this ring. What does Frodo do? He puts on the ring. So the two stupidest acts that happen within the course of the book happen at the same location. So therefore, I would say that going on to Weathertop in the books is probably a very bad idea. There must be some sort of curse laid on there because of the fall of those three kingdoms.
Pineleaf, you need to do the cons more often. This is impressive. Making your angry side come out here. Wow.
Terry Adwin. What
Yeah,
about
I'm
the
going to go
films?
ahead and do both sides of the films because nobody else is here to do one or the other.
Aerith.
He's not here. He's on a plane.
He was in the air, yeah.
He's leaving on a jet plane. No, actually, I think he's getting off.
He landed, but
Wow.
he's still on the plane. They haven't actually disembarked the plane yet.
Wow.
That's a pretty long disembarkment because it's
I
been
know he's been
10
trying to get off
hours.
that plane for an hour and a half.
Twitter, he's still like on the plane. So
Yeah. Well, the pilot's still waiting for the table from Brax, so
They had to build the off ramp. They're using scrap lumber from the warehouse.
using the parts of the table. Yeah.
Yeah.
I totally forgot what I was gonna say.
You're gonna do the pros and the cons. I can throw
gonna
some
do the
cons at
pros
the
and the
movies if you
cons.
want.
I can do the cons of the movies. I'm not sure I can do any pros of the movies actually, because the cons of the movies is like what? Because the scene in the movie is like not really in any way related to the scene in the book a whole lot.
Right.
So that's my big con right there is and it's interesting because when I watched the movies the first time, the books were a distant memory, so I didn't have it like fresh in my memory. So I guess that's a pro. If you're not familiar with the books, then yeah, that scene's pretty cool. But if you've actually read the books, then you go conside and it's like, what the heck were they doing?
But for a pro, I guess, I would say that it looks really cool what the whole Weathertop scene from like just if you don't know the story or anything like that, it just is a really cool moment in the film where it just looks really nice and you have these dark riders actually coming at night through this really misty, foggy area, and then they come up and you think all is lost almost until Aragorn comes up and starts swinging his fire around, and then they all freak out, and so so I mean it's a really cool scene I think from the films, but yeah, you're right, it's
Where's all
not
this
at
mist
all.
come from?
For creepiness factor of the Nazgul, it gets a thumbs up, but for
Yeah.
everything else, thumbs down.
Right,
I would
where's
guess
that mist
the
going to
mist-
come from?
I would speculate it probably rose up out of the swamp that's down the hill, and then came up like
Well, it
between.
has to come up quite a
Pretty far,
distance
'cause
up.
Smidgewater's pretty far away.
Either the swamp or maybe Sam got really bad at cooking that night and it just caused a lot of smoke to come around.
Well, don't you know the Nazgul have an entire special effects team to up their creep factor? There's orcs carrying around a fog machine.
In the Jackson
There's
films,
another-
I
Kind of
believe
like
that.
in Holy Grail, where the guy with the
Yeah.
coconuts, right, follows.
There's an entire orc special effects team. Yes. Exactly.
All right. Maven.
Um, I just think it's pretty awesome. I mean, I remember one of the Mythgard Adventures nights we were going to go over there, and we all stopped on the road coming out of the Forsaken Inn and just stopped and looked, and it just is imposing on the landscape. It's I don't know, it seems to be pretty true to the book in the sense of, I looked for the G rune, the rock with the G rune. Of course, it's part of a quest actually too. As soon as I got up there, um, I don't know. I mean, for me, I mean, I liked it better in the game than in the movie for sure. And I just think I think it's terrific. I mean, I don't have anything else to say about it really.
All right,
It
and
is
Nate?
cool though.
It is.
I mean, like you can read the book, and then you can find the little dell with the water
Yeah,
and the
yeah,
wood,
Yeah,
exactly.
and
that
all of
is
these
really cool.
things that had Strider been thinking when he got there. Oh, this is all stuff that tells me somebody was here, and it's there. So that's cool.
And also, at the time when Lotro was releasing, it was amazing that you could see Weathertop from Breeland and from anywhere in the Lowlands. You could see Weathertop out in the distance. And they did a really, really good job making sure that it's this just imposing presence that you can see from miles and miles away in Lotro. And so I think that was pretty cool. As far as cons go, that instance needs updated. My gosh. Fix that thing, please. It's just horrible. I hate it. It's terrible. Also, just in general, the Lone Lands needs like a third or fourth revamp. Like, just revamp it a third time and then turn right back around and revamp it a fourth time, because then it's just as far as Lotro zones go, it's near the bottom, I think, as far as interesting quests and things like that, which is technically lore appropriate, but doesn't make it be any more appropriate for Lotro. So, I mean, look, they created Wildemore. Surely they can make some interesting quests in a lone land somewhere. But
True.
that's my cons for Weathertop. It's
Well,
the whole area plus the instances need some retouching.
we have one more pro though for Weathertop. It's the site of the greatest concert.
That's
That's
right.
right.
That's a huge
Hmm.
pro.
That's right.
So I'd have to disagree with Ending. I like the Lone Lands. I mean, when I'm not deciding whether I'm going to follow the Epic through Lone Lands or do the North Downs route, the North Downs, I mean, the Lone Lands to me is a pretty smooth questing area. I mean, there are some things that are kind of like, all right, whatever. But I mean, I like it. It's got a good flow to it. You get some challenge when you're on the backside of Min Errol with the signature goblins, and then you get a little bit more challenge when you start running up into the Whitefield area on the other side of Oscar Ruth. But as far as the zone goes, I would disagree with Andang. It is bleak though, but it's supposed to be.
It has some good moments for sure, but like, don't get me wrong, the North Downs is just a little bit higher up on the list for me. So, but I mean, it's like okay, so it's better than the North Downs. That's not saying so much in your argument. I'm just saying.
I actually like the North Downs questline better since
I
the
do too.
revamp.
Yeah, the North Downs is, especially since the revamp, it's pretty good. But
I
personal
like it.
preference.
There you go.
All right. Anybody else have anything they wish to add on any of these?
Pineleaf, just take the negatives every week from now on. Just keep doing
Yeah,
it.
definitely.
We currently have 10 supporters on Patreon. If you would like to join this illustrious fellowship of players and help support Lotro players, simply go to the donations page where you can support the Players Alliance on Patreon. There you will find rewards, including a mention on the podcast of your choice or even a guest spot on an episode of Lotro Players News. And how far are we from our next Lotro goal?
Well, Pineleaf, we're actually a little bit farther away because we actually have 9 supporters again. But
What?
we still are holding the Ddo giveaway spot because we have $52 on there right now, which means that we're just under, because there's pennies involved as well, we're just under $23 away from the Lotro 5,000 Turbine Point code giveaway, which would be a lot of fun to do, especially with our anniversary coming up really soon. It would be nice to have that along with some other giveaways that we're planning. So, think about that, and who knows, maybe you'll help support the Players Alliance as well, because we'd really appreciate it.
Very well. Then we'll head into our feature comment where Saritha Bocamp left a comment on Corey Olson's declares burglarious intentions. Burglarious intentions. Attempting to find a non-taken name in Lotro just highlights how nerdy we are. I go for scientific names of plants, and I generally end up with an alternate spelling of a higher taxonomic level. Attempting to reference anything, even something obscure, just becomes frustrating because another Lotro player already did so.
Here, here. And I have to just real quick, I have a retraction from last week because I said last week that burglarious was a made-up word. Apparently, it's not a made-up word. I was not aware of that. It sounds like a made-up word. So thank you for whoever left a comment pointing out that I was wrong.
Oh, and how obscure? That's at least an obscure word, isn't it?
It's got to be an obscure word, but
Can't be
apparently
used
it's
very
not
often.
a made-up one.
Well,
It's
makes
used by the
sense.
Tolkien professor, so it must be an
Yeah.
obscure word.
Exactly.
You know, you
Well,
talk about
yes, but you got to remember
burglarious.
is that he may be trying to coin words, since
Yes,
Tolkien
he does
coined a
tend
few
to do that.
words and
Yes.
Shakespeare coined a few words.
Yes.
Maybe he needs to specifically specify, this is a real word, guys. This is a real one. Now we're going to go into stealth, so shh, be quiet.
Doing
But I do
burglarious
say
things
that
with
my
burglarious
dictionary
intent.
does include the word burglarious.
Yep, it means of relating to burglary.
Yep. Very well then. We did not receive any emails this week, but if you'd like to send us one, you could send it to podcast@lotroplayers.com. You could
That's
also
right,
follow us
Pineleaf.
at...
And real quick interruption, because we technically did receive some emails this week, but they were for episode 100, which is next week, Pineleaf. And yeah, that's right, we're going to promote it twice, because it's next week, and it's our 2-year podcast anniversary, so that's really exciting, because we made it to 100 shows, and that's how you celebrate it. So please send in your audio files. We've gotten 2 so far, with at least a third on the way, according to the chat room. So please send in your audio files of your recording of whatever you want to talk about, your favorite moments, different things you want to say to the team, whatever. We had a really funny parody from Bragg that will be coming up that involves some of the characters from his show. So if you want to voice some characters from Lotro, you can do that too. There's endless options with this audio file. You can send it into podcast@lotroplayers.com, or you can just send in a normal email and we'll read it on the show next week.
Origin stories. Think origin stories, guys. You could narrate your own origin story.
Could you imagine an origin story with all the Lotro players co-hosts from not only what we have right now, but also all the past ones that are going to be there next week to read it on the show? How amazing that would be, Terry.
Yes, that would be awesome.
Wouldn't that be
That
great?
would be fantastic.
So
Putting in
you are going to
my
expect...
request now to the Lotro community. You guys, you need to step up to the plate here. I know there's some creative folks out there.
So therefore, you're saying then that we are going to see several origin stories pop up at podcast@lotroplayers.com.
Well, that would be nice if they showed up at
That's nice, yeah.
podcast@lotroplayers.com. Yes, finally.
Very well. You can also follow us at Twitter, the Players Alliance @PlayersAlly, Lotro Players @LotroPlayers, Anding @PVMP_Anding, Erithert @Erithert, Braxwolf @Braxwolf, Carvet @CarvetLP, Lily Kate @LilyKateBuggins, Maven @TolkienMaven, Pineleaf @Pineleaf Needles, and Terry Adwin @TerryAdwin. The Players Alliance has 3 live shows every single week. On Mondays at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have Ddo Players News. On Thursdays at 6:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have Guild Wars Players News. And on Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have Lotro Players News. You can join us for live shows each week at lotroplayers.com/live. Thank you, everyone, for listening. This is Pineleaf Needles reminding you to skirmish responsibly.